Hey guys, we are back. This is the Jimmy Randazzo show. We're here with Gary Sheffield Jr. Obviously, he talks baseball everywhere. He's a huge golf fan as well. And we're just gonna, shoot the shit for a little while. And really thankful that he came on for the first episode of season two. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man, and good luck for season two. Yeah, a lot of people start podcasts and there's never a season two, so you're off to a good start.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was a long time coming. We did the Yankees preview in April last year, and by July, it just got really stale yelling at Aaron Boone and doing stuff like that. So, yeah, we're on to 2024. I guess we can start with the Yankees right away. Obviously, they get Juan Soto in the offseason, and that was such an amazing thing. What are your thoughts on the whole how the deal went down and grading the trade and everything like that?
Well, what's funny is I thought the Juan Soto trade was perfect. I really didn't feel like we gave up too much, to be quite honest with you. And I know people say, well, we did give up something, but at the same time, you're acquiring Juan Soto. There's actually a case that Juan Soto will be the Yankees' best at bat in 2024, and that's saying a lot considering what Aaron Judge does. And so we can't understate what Brian Cashman did by acquiring Juan Soto, because if we do that, it's really going to take the steam out of the offseason. But I will say, and we've discussed this on I don't even know what we call those, the Twitter little our little radio
I still call
section
it
we have.
Twitter. I still call it Twitter.
Twitter. So yeah, so on Twitter, and we were discussing the fact that the Yankees had a couple of other things I would have liked to see, like adding some arms and not just limping through and trying to figure out where we get those innings. So yeah, the Yankees have done a lot in terms of helping their offense by bringing in Juan Soto and guys like Verdugo, but there are some moves that we would like to see him make. And right now, I'm not exactly. I'm just crossing my fingers because we have no indication that Brian Cashman's really working the phones right now. So it just seems like they're waiting on Blake Snell to lower his asking price. And if that's what it is, then if they land, and I want to know what we're doing.
Yeah, no, I think that they were what 27th in average, and I know that people say don't calculate average. I mean, they were bad at hitting last year. 29th, 30th in some main categories. So adding Verdugo
Yeah.
and then adding Soto obviously helps the offense tremendously. And maybe the Yankees are only a little bit better this year than they were last year, considering that, everything that they've gone through. They got rid of Michael King. And what did they do to get rid of Michael King? They added Marcus Stroman. So yeah, the pitching rotation is about the same as it was last year. And they don't have the depth because they got rid of Brito and Vasquez. So you're going to have these young guys, Clayton Beater types of guys step up. Um, I'm a fan of Luis Heel, and I know is Luis Heel being your sixth guy heading into like if he had to start tomorrow, is that the best thing? No, but he also did pitch 5 innings of one hit ball in it obviously this was in 2022, but I think that adding Soto does so much. And I've been a complainer. I mean, last year sucked. I mean, there's no two ways around it. It sucked. We had, spent 270 plus $1 million and didn't make the playoffs. So obviously every single year it's at least playoffs or bust. So yeah, I think right now I I'm trying to be this glass half full kind of guy. I know that it's hard to, but we did ask for Juan Soto, and he gave us Juan Soto.
He did.
And and I do on the Snell front. I mean, I do think that it's asking for almost too much in a sense that are they really going to sign Snell and pay that third, fourth luxury tax that like they pay him $30 million this year, they're going to actually have to pay him 60 million or whatever it is. It
Right.
doesn't come out. I mean, you can get cheeky. We've thought about trading Glaber. I don't know your thoughts on that, but he's our third best hitter. So we're kind of in a pickle when it comes to what we want as a Yankee fan and then being almost realistic. Because I mean that, and I'll start here. What do you think is the Yankees' biggest strength? Is it the offense right now? Is it the starting pitching, or is it the bullpen?
I'm going to be honest with you. The Yankees' strength, and I know this might sound crazy, but Aaron Judge, as good of a player as he is, and as good as maybe some of the top end guys are, like as Gleyber Torres was last year, the Yankees' strength is pitching. Their staff with Matt Blake and finding ways to grind out outs. Maybe they are undermanned, but to be quite honest with you, even if we don't go get Blake Snell, even if they don't land him on a 5-year deal the way they hope, I'm not worried about the starting pitching. I'm not really worried about the pitching. My focus is on the fact that your team was ranked 27th in Major League Baseball offensively. That's a bad offensive team. They stunk. And last year, and you can attest for this, it essentially, we had a weird year. Our year was showing up hopeful. We usually do. We were mad in the offseason. We show up opening day. We say, okay, they didn't do exactly what we wanted, but we're going to root for it. We all do it. We get there. They get off to a decent start. All of a sudden, Rizzo starts to like Rizzo was having these issues with his concussion, right? And it was an issue. And then you start to see that the team didn't necessarily have the offensive depth to withstand any type of injury last year. It's just a bad offense. And so what ended up happening was people were so frustrated with that offense that they started to root against the team that we all love. And that's a hard place to be. You don't want to root against a team you want to see win. But I feel that a lot of us had an understanding that something bad had to happen to the New York Yankees and Brian Cashman. They had to be embarrassed to do something this offseason. And they were embarrassed. Last year was an embarrassing season for the New York Yankees. It was an embarrassment for Brian Cashman. It was an embarrassment for Aaron Boone. Seeing Aaron Boone get ejected from games, I was actually at a game. I'm sitting right behind the plate. I'm looking at him. I'm like, no one's even as fired up as we should be about this type of ejection because there was no life in the New York Yankees. It was a team that was essentially quitting. And rightfully so when you look at that offense. So when I'm looking into the 2024 season, this team has got to hit. Whether they bring in arms, that would be amazing. Any team can use more arms. The Texas Rangers last year were incredibly aggressive in bringing in arms. But what ultimately won them the World Series, they were able to find outs with guys like Jordan Montgomery, who they eventually acquired, but they could hit the baseball. Teams don't win the World Series without being able to hit in October. And if our lineup, and we're saying Gleyber Torres is our third best hitter, and there's really no one even close to that, that lineup isn't good enough to win a World Series. So bringing in guys like Verdugo, bringing in a Juan Soto, who knows, maybe they'll bring in someone middle of the year that can help this offense. They're getting closer to where we need them to be.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And, you know, there were times where I would sit down and I do some freelancing at Yes, like just doing video work in the back. And I'd go and take my lunch break when your lunch break is when the game starts for an hour. And I used to go and I used to sit in Subway listening to a podcast instead of watching the team because they couldn't hit the ball. So if they
No.
do lose this year, maybe it's 7-5 and not 7-0. So
Right.
there is at least, you know, there is at least that hope of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge adding that, for a lack of a better comparison, David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez type of power 1-2 punch. And I think it's going to go a long way. And, we can sit here and complain about Aaron Boone all we want. And I do sometimes. And every year I start anew. He hasn't done anything wrong in the 2024 season yet. So I'm starting new with him again. And there might be that, retweet to fire Aaron Boone tweet in May. And who knows? Because that's how passionate we are as fans. But I think that I do feel a sense of, okay, we asked for Juan Soto. We said it was okay to, well, at least I did. We said it was okay to trade Michael King. We asked for it and we got it. And that was the main splash that we were going to get. And the Yankees just don't operate like the Dodgers. It's sad to
Right.
say, they just don't. They're not
Yeah.
going to spend $1 billion+ in an off season unless it's going to be because everybody's off the books and they're under that $300 million. So I think it's and I like a couple of the moves they made in the bullpen. I think sometimes fresh arms are just as good as arms that we know. Like they went out and got Ferguson. I think it was a great move.
Agree.
Um, you know, getting lefties just for a bullpen, I think is really huge. And they will, if they need to, go out and get a closer at at the trade deadline because I feel like that really is the best time to go get a guy that you need to maybe put in the eighth inning, the ninth inning, if Clay Holmes does start to struggle. And he usually does. Come July, he starts to slow down a little bit. And, it's no fault of his own. He pitches, 45 plus innings by July. So it's tough there. Yeah. So what else did I have? But you aren't, I saw like you tweeted, you're not really that confident in the actual rotation. Do you think they need to, like, what could they even possibly do at this point to make us Yankee fans even happy with the rotation?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm cool with the rotation as it is. I definitely see rooms for improvement. Corbin Burnes was a phenomenal pickup for Baltimore. That was a player that I thought was excellent for the Yankees. If you look at what Corbin Burnes does, he's not just an ace. The reason that everyone associates his name with being an ace is that he's consistent in terms of what he's delivering. You have a perfect understanding heading into the year after spring training, who's this guy going to be on opening day? Who's this guy going to be in August? And I can expect him to be the same guy in October. That's what we expect from Gerrit Cole. And we really don't have that expectation from many other players. Nestor Cortez is the guy who has the skill set to be a guy like that. The difference is innings. And when you're talking about innings, and it's something you brought up on Twitter, is where do we find those consistent innings? We brought in a Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman is a guy who can pitch like an ace in a big game. It's the reason he's coming here to New York, but he's a guy who consistently gives you 135 innings. That's not a lot of innings. That's not a 200 inning guy. I know the game's changed. Maybe a 200 inning guy is maybe 175 is what you're looking for. Well, 175 innings. Corbin Burnes gave the Milwaukee Brewers that 6 seasons in a row. It's
Yeah,
very
that's impressive.
consistent.
He's a workhorse.
He's a workhorse. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that was the worst thing when David Rubenstein of Carlisle Group acquires the Baltimore Orioles. He's on the phone with the Milwaukee Brewers owner because they're congratulating him. He probably asked him straight up, "What am I going to do? These guys are boys." My fiance works at Carlisle, so she's giving me I'm giving her the news. She's laughing to me about it. I'm telling her that this is going to cause some problems at home now that she's basically an Oriole, unbeknownst to herself. So, no, David Rubenstein did a really good job there. And the Orioles 101 wins last year. They got better. And, the Yankees won, 82 last year? They got better, too, probably to the same length. Maybe the Yankees are a 91, 92 win team right now, but it doesn't feel great when you're looking at a team 4 hours south of you, and they're really fucking good. And
how about Jackson Holiday? How about that? That guy's coming up. That guy's coming up. Okay. And if he is anything, and the Baltimore Orioles bring in an ace, someone that we consider to be a workhorse, what are the Yankees looking at in the near future? I'm hopeful that the Yankees can go win a World Series, just as you are. It's good for my shows. It's good for your shows to have the Yankees in competition to win the pennant, win a pennant and go win a World Series. That's what we both want. But when we see the number one prospect in Major League Baseball is being called up to the Baltimore Orioles, and then they go get the guy that we're all circling. We were looking at Yamamoto, and then the trade market started to unfold, and we said, okay, Corbin Burnes is the next guy in line, and our rival goes and gets him. That's a situation that Brian Cashman has to answer. He has to address it in his own way. How does he do that? So far, he hasn't. And I understand we need to give him credit for this Juan Soto move, but acquiring Juan Soto and being the 27th ranked offense is not going to make up the ground that you need to make up. So it needs to be made up in some other way.
Yeah, I feel, and I've ran the numbers. What trading Gleyber Torres and I know that people talk about this, and I think if you're, I don't want to say a real Yankee fan because that's everybody's a real Yankee fan. If you're a fan, you're a fan. But uh, if you watch ball, you know that Gleyber Torres is a good hitter, and to trade him to take off $15 million to acquire Blake Snell to add $30 more million past the luxury tax doesn't make too much sense. And of course, it would be great to get him. I would love it, but I just don't think it's a realistic thing for the Yankees to do right now. How do you feel about? So I was going through it, and we do Yankees pod every Monday through Friday at 12, and we are going through the bench pieces, and the four names of the guys on the bench are not great. I mean, whether it's Wells or Trevino, and then you got the two Oswalds, Cabrera and Peraza, and then you have uh, Trent Grisham. So if you're telling me at the end of the game it's the eighth inning and one of the catchers need to be pinch hit for, right now I'm a little bit. I'm like, what are we doing? We have four defensive guys on that bench. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think the Yankees? I mean, and you know what? Let me ask you this: who do you believe in more, Oswald, Oswaldo Cabrera, or Oswald Peraza?
Oh man, I'm gonna say Peraza, but this is what I will say about that bench. That bench, their strengths don't help what the Yankees were bad at last year. And that is the issue that we have.
Yeah,
So when you look at how do we make this Yankees team better, and we all get creative. That's the thing about Yankees fans is we have so many different voices. Talking Yanks are going to tell you something, right? All these other various platforms are going to give you their opinion, right? Even people on Twitter, everyone's their solo mouthpiece where they get to talk about what they think is going to make this team better. And the issue you run into by trading Gleyber Torres, for example, Gleyber Torres can provide some solutions on the trade market, such as bringing in arms from Miami, right? When you can bring in a Cabrera, some power arms that they have down there that can really help us. The problem is this: the Yankees need his bat. They do not have
100%.
they don't have a surplus of bats that they can afford to get rid of Gleyber Torres. Right now, the only way I would deal Gleyber Torres is if I had an assurance that the Yankees had no plans for him in the future. If Gleyber Torres is not going to be receiving an extension and that front office knows that, that's the only reason you should ever deal Gleyber Torres for an arm.
Yeah,
And that's just my opinion on it.
and realistically, they need him. They need him. They don't have Verdugo is, and you know what? I really do love the Verdugo move more than anything. He adds stability and batting average and on base percentage, and he's not afraid of anything. He's played in Boston. He had Yankee fans throw beer on him. He has a rapport, and I sat behind him a few times during that Yankees Red Sox series because I like to be in the left field area. And he was so cool. And I thought he brought such a good attitude to the team. I think he's most importantly, I think he can hit the baseball. And if he were on the Yankees last year, he had the second best average. So, I mean, it is what it is. And obviously, Juan Soto brings something that not many teams can bring. And I know we're projecting Juan Soto. We'll play a little game called fill in the blank. I know we're projecting Juan Soto to have 35 home runs, but I think he's going to hit close to 47 home runs if we're being honest with that short porch. What are your thoughts?
In terms of homers,
Yeah, how many home runs is Juan Soto going to hit?
believe it or not, I'm gonna lowball him here a little bit. And don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna
Sure.
go into the 20s.
No.
But based on Yankee Stadium, because Yankee Stadium is going to help him a ton. But the one thing about Juan Soto, I will say, is that Juan Soto does a lot of damage the other way. And Yankee Stadium in left field and left center gap is not necessarily hitter friendly. So this is what I'll say. He's gonna hit 33 homers, but he's going to threaten for a batting title. And the reason I say this is because the New York Yankees, I believe, are going to get in Juan Soto's ear, and he's going to have an understanding that this team, in terms of what they need, they have to have a guy who can hit for average, who's a good at bat. The New York Yankees haven't had that. The Yankees have had plenty of guys. We've seen Giancarlo Stanton, we've seen Aaron Judge. It's redundant. We've seen Luke Voigt. Their entire approach is putting the ball in the seats. Juan Soto and not just Soto, Alex Verdugo, both have the approach that maybe like a DJ LeMahieu, where they go out there and they're trying to put together good at bats. And obviously, Juan Soto is going to do it at a level that we haven't seen them do it in pinstripes. So I'm going to go 33 homers and he's going to hit 340
Yeah.
in the 3 spot behind Aaron Judge.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think Boone said there he's going to bat second. I don't necessarily agree with it. We'll see what,
Oh.
you know what I've been trying not to do too is project too much because Juan Soto could bat second starting spring training and he hits 6 home runs and we're like, all right, whatever.
Right.
Or he doesn't do well in spring training. I think that stuff all works itself out anyways. I know it's so fun as a Yankees fan, put Judge 2, Soto 3, and to do the lineup projections. I personally would bat Judge second, but the more I think about it, as long as Aaron Judge is okay with batting third, whatever. Like, I just want these guys showing up to, I always talk about Paul O'Neill showed up every single day. He knew he was batting third. Bernie was batting fourth. Jeets was batting second. Knobloch was batting first. You know what I mean? When your dad played, he batted third every single day.
Well,
You know
Jimmy,
what
let
I
me ask
mean?
you this. Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Have we seen Aaron Judge be successful hitting third in the Yankees lineup before?
No, we haven't.
We have not. So where have we seen
I
him
mean, actually, I
successful in
guess we
general?
have, right? In 2019, but in 2019, was he batting third or was he still batting second?
So this is the thing. He's never consistently hit anywhere except for two, but I will say this. He's hit third before and he's been successful.
Okay.
But one thing I will say this, and it wasn't a lot, so it's not like I'm trying to quiz you here, but one thing I
Right,
will
right.
say, Juan Soto is significantly more successful hitting third than he is two. And not only that, he's also voiced that opinion to the San Diego Padres. So in my opinion, if I'm bringing in a guy who I really want to impress, I'm going to put him where he's comfortable. And whether that's right field, left field, center field, hitting third, hitting second, leadoff, whatever he wants to do. Kyle Schwarber, we see in Philadelphia, loves hitting leadoff. You got to make some guys comfortable in your uniform. You can't always do it your way. And if we are trying to win, we have to find a happy middle ground in helping these players do what they're paid to do and do what they like to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the splits between Juan Soto batting second and third are astronomically different. I know the two was a smaller sample size, but he did. He had Scott Boras call allegedly. He had Scott Boras call
Allegedly.
the organization and tell him, "Hey, I want him batting third." So whether that was for his RBIs to go up because he's going to be a free agent soon, whatever it was, the reason he wanted to bat third. So now Boone hopefully did enough research as you and I and the fans of Twitter, but maybe not. Maybe he doesn't know that Juan Soto, who knows? And to give Aaron Boone, again, DJ, should he be batting first? How's his foot feeling? I feel like these are all things that will work out when we look at spring training. Because, hey, DJ LeMay might not be 100% healthy by the end of spring training, and Verdugo might be batting first. And I think, obviously, if Verdugo's batting first, Soto's batting third. So I think it's going to kind of, and we know Aaron Boone is going to try 45 different lineups by July. Like, it's a guaranteed fact. So
Who would you want to see lead off?
what's up?
Who would you want leading off?
I personally wanted Verdugo leading off because
Verdugo.
I wanted Verdugo leading off, Judge 2,
Okay.
Soto 3, Glaber 4, Rizzo 5, Stanton 6. That's how I would personally do it.
Okay.
DJ 7, but it doesn't seem like that. They want DJ, but DJ knows how to bat first, also too. Glaber Torres is a better hitter than DJ LeMahieu, but he's not a better hitter at the one spot. DJ LeMahieu owns that spot. DJ's getting a little slower. I like it's the only thing I can say. I love him. He's a robot with runners in scoring position. But I personally would say, hey, we're not playing favorites. It's 2024. We're not just coming in. Oh, the only person who should get any sort of this is who he is, this is what it is, Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole. They can do whatever they want. If Garrett Cole wants to throw to us, he should be able to. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
If Aaron Judge wants to bat second, he should be able to. But I mean, that's something that the two of those guys, those big guys, should be deciding. And it's tough because we do have the press asking Aaron Boone questions in February, and you're like, damn, why is he saying that? But it's February. He doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what Luke Weaver's face looks like. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah, those lineups need to be fluid but not random. That's what
yeah,
that's the issue is they'll just tell us, well, okay, this guy he's gonna hit third. Like for example, we'll have Anthony Rizzo hit third. And then all of a sudden we have the concussion issue happen, right? And no one really knew that at the time, especially the New York Yankees front office. However, Anthony Rizzo sitting there hitting third, and then you're like, okay, this guy's hitting a buck 10 the last month and a half and he's just slotted in at third, and then they're moving the rest of the guys in the lineup. No, the players 2 months, 3 months into the season that are hitting, the guys who are performing, those are the guys you need to be moving up in the lineup. You need to be getting guys who are comfortable, guys who are hitting, put them up in the lineup and do some damage. We can't have our sixth hitter just raking and be like, well, we don't want to move him from sixth, and then our leadoff hitter is ice cold. That doesn't make sense. You got to
no, it doesn't.
start to adapt the lineup.
It makes a lot of sense. It's funny because Aaron Boone believes in the hot hand when it comes to the bullpen, but he
Right.
doesn't believe in the hot bat when it comes to the offense. He really just looks at lefty righty, and Frenchie Cordero can be batting first or fourth because he's a lefty. Frenchie
Oh my
Cordero should have
God.
never batted anything other than seventh. And I know he had like 6 home runs in 8 days, but other than that, it was like torturous and Bowers and again, these is not those guys' fault. Those guys should have been slotted in the 7 hole every single day, and they weren't, and it was unfortunate. And the other thing that really scares me more than anything, more than a lack of starting pitchers, a lack of a real true second guy behind Clay Holmes that has been productive is the health. Every single year, it just seems that, hey, there are 6 guys down in the first day of spring training because they don't want to report these injuries because they don't want fans to freak out when there's no baseball going on. So it seems like sometimes they're giving themselves a cushion, not releasing these medical records. And they're pretty important. Medical records are pretty important when you have a guy that has a concussion and, can't really see straight, batting third and giving some huge at bats behind Aaron Judge every single day. And they're just walking the guy because they know that this guy hasn't hit since, the 80s. So, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
can I say one thing about to
yeah,
defend Aaron Boone real quick? Because
go
because
ahead.
I have definitely criticized Aaron Boone before. This is not new. His brother, like I've talked to his brother about it and my criticism of Aaron Boone. And this is one thing I will say. Aaron Boone has not exactly been given the personnel that would suffice for a top offense in Major League Baseball. When you look at the team, everyone complains about lineups because there's a million different lineups you can come up with. It can be consistent, inconsistent, whatever your complaints are, right? Having said that, if you only have 3 or 4 competent hitters in the lineup, what type of lineup are you building anyway? You really have to
No, I
think
agree.
about that on Aaron Boone's part. Aaron Boone has to know. He has to. Okay. Aaron Judge, Anthony Rizzo, Glaber Torres. If they're looking at those guys, okay, those are my consistent guys. Well, if you plug them 1 through 3, what does 4 through 9 look like? The New
Yeah,
York
no,
Yankees
it's
had to
tough.
figure it out. It's a
Last
hard
year was
job.
tough. I will get years prior to last year. I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt because he had basically Girardi's team. He did.
Absolutely.
He did. Last year was disgusting. It wasn't Aaron. But I don't know necessarily if he can take a team with whatever. I've been playing a lot of Madden with a 77 overall hitting, and make them into an 82. I don't know if he has those capabilities that he can tap into these guys because what we see, this hitting coach is gone. This hitting coach is gone. This hitting coach is gone. Well, I never seen in the NFL history 4 different offensive coordinators leave before the head coach.
No,
So
we've never seen that. No.
you know what I mean? So it starts to become a thing like, maybe it's not Aaron Boone's fault, but the same face is coming to us after the loss to say, we need to do better. And eventually it gets to a point where it's like, well, you know, I almost need an old angry man in there because sometimes, uh, sometimes you need a voice that's not. Aaron Judge is such a calming presence, such a positive presence, but he is not Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter used to hold people accountable. Joe Torre was the nicest guy in the world. Like, really, just a super sweet, soft-spoken guy. But he had Derek Jeter. He had Paul. He had those. He had Posada.
But Derek Jeter, I agree with you completely. But Derek Jeter also had a competent staff. And that's something that
That's true.
always has to be mentioned because Derek Jeter had Gary Sheffield, Alex Rodriguez, Bernie Williams,
Yeah,
Jorge
of course.
Posada, because we literally just had this conversation. I went on a podcast maybe a week ago and someone asked me if Jorge Posada was a Hall of Famer. Jorge Posada was hitting sixth on those New
Yeah,
York Yankees teams. That's insane. So
insane.
like when we talk about those teams, this staff last year, I literally saw the New York Yankees quit on the baseball field. They'll tell you they didn't quit. I was at those games. There was no sign of life at those games.
And
None.
and the thing that frustrates me the most is just their lack of being together as one, as a unit, as one. It's 1 o'clock game time. It's 10:30. Half of the team's not there yet. The only people that I saw last year freaking warming up 2 hours before the game were Anthony Volpe, Aaron Judge, and Harrison Bader. Those were the only guys really. And again, maybe they're doing it in the clubhouse, but that's another thing. It's like, all right, well, maybe Aaron Boone is reprimanding these guys in the clubhouse behind closed doors, but I don't think it's enough because Gleyber Torres, again, love him to death, made some really silly mistakes. And sometimes you just need somebody to be like, hey, dude, you're fucking up. Like, it's okay to say that. It's okay to be like, Jimmy, your Yankees pod, it sucked today. It's okay to say that. But I think that not having that voice sometimes, that it becomes angry because he gets angry at the umpire and it's like, oh yeah, Aaron Boone saved the day again. This is our savage, and it's fun to do to a certain extent. But when you're not holding the players accountable all the time, that's what infuriates me. And then I'll never forget Clark Schmidt against the Guardians going into that game against Oscar Gonzalez. I will. I mean, this was in 2023 Clark Schmidt. 2022 Clark Schmidt was not great. Let's just say it. And he has improved, and he's not a free agent until 2028. And that's the reason why he's a young kid and he deserves as many opportunities as the next guy. But putting him in that postseason game just meant like this guy does not have a sense of feel for his team, and those things start to build up, and then that's where we get the tweets. But overall, Brian Cashman's never going anywhere. He's basically Hal Steinbrenner's best friend. Like that's it. Really is. It's like their family. And again, who am I to tell the Yankees how to run their organization? It's a crazy concept that the GM's never going to get fired. So then you have to go to the next voice of reason. And we can call Aaron Boone names and this, that, and the other thing. But the really sense is if you don't have the players, you're probably not going to win. And that's what they didn't have with the offense last year.
Well, someone has to take the blame at some point, and
yeah, exactly.
And it can't always be it can't always be the assistant. And at some point, you have to look at the Yankees team. They basically have three things. They'll say, okay, well, our personnel wasn't good enough, we were hurt, or we quit. Those are the only three things that can happen. That's the only three things that can happen across Major League Baseball. This is not just the Yankees. You either lose because you're not healthy, you don't have good enough players, or you don't have good enough coaching. Those are the only three things that can happen. So if the New York Yankees came into last year, they said, oh, well, our manager was fine. Our GM was fine. Injuries was the issue. How many different seasons can we talk about injuries? We've talked about injuries. Every single team in Major League Baseball has injuries. The Los Angeles Dodgers had injuries. Gavin Lux, gone. Shohei Ohtani this upcoming season, he's not pitching at all. Gone. He's a DH the whole year. So when you look at these teams, every single team, the Atlanta Braves went and won a World Series without Ronald Acuna Jr. in their postseason run. They didn't sit around and talk about injuries all year long. They talked about it for a week. They sulked for a week. After that, they put in his replacement. His replacement wasn't Ronald Acuna Jr.'s level. They just put in a guy who could get the job done, and they kept it moving. The New York Yankees will have a guy go down with injuries, and they'll start talking about those injuries, and we'll hear it till August. We'll hear the reason that we didn't win 99 games. Instead, we won 82 is because of injuries. Guys like Nestor Cortez, guys like Rizzo who go down, right? So we make these type of decisions to make excuses instead of making adjustments. We don't need to blow everything up and make it seem like the Yankees stink. They don't. This team that's a very good team. Aaron Boone, in my opinion, is a very good manager. They need to make adjustments. They should be in this position if you kept their job because you think that they can make those adjustments. If we head into 2024 and we don't start winning games, you cannot blame it on injuries. You have got to look at personnel or leadership. Those are the two things that have to happen. If nothing else, it has to be those things.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully the hitting coach is the right guy. Like, again, I don't want to hear that excuse either. And that's my craziest thing. Like, when I'm always like, well, why don't they get Barry Bonds to be the hitting coach? Sometimes I don't understand, like, because, like, why don't you get some of these great guys? Like, Barry Bonds taught, when the Milwaukee Brewers outfielder, what's his name?
Oh, Ricky Weeks?
Christian Yelich. Christian Yelich was struggling, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
started
Well, he used to
working with
coach Ricky Weeks, too.
and Ricky Weeks. When he started, when he was struggling, Yelich went to Bonds and he started succeeding because he was doing something wrong. I think, if you're a big golf guy, Tiger Woods helps you with your swing for 10 minutes. You're gonna be better. So I don't understand sometimes when I don't see names, when I see these guys who, are, that names that I don't know. I don't understand when you're this $11 billion organization. If you sold $11 billion, because I know Forbes projects 7.2, whatever. That is an $11 billion organization if sold, just because of everything that is involved in it with it. So it's hard to hear, oh, this guy's injured, so we're not going to spend $30 million. It starts to get a little aggravating for the fan. And, guys like us, like, I don't know. How old are you?
I'm 30.
You're 30. So, hey, listen, you have a few rings under your belt. You know what I mean? I'm 34, so I claim 5. You know what I mean? It is what it is. And I'm a little bit angrier than the 22-year-old fan who hasn't seen it done more than once. So I do feel that sense of, it sucks. Sometimes when you have it all with Joe Torre and Don Zimmer, it's tough to see that. And, that's really where I'm at with Aaron Boone. But again, Aaron Boone, nicest guy in the world. I mean, really, to his character as a man, excellent dude. Great on ESPN, great at answering questions with the media. Always going to give you his real opinion. He did great with Michael Kay. He did great with Talking Yanks. He does a great job doing that thing. But when it comes to X's and O's, sometimes I personally don't feel that he is the right man for the job, just because of the lack of ease that players play in 2024. And I know that's me right now, old man yelling at the sky right now, but also I need that type of, I don't know, Wolverine-esque energy that, it's May and we're trying to win today. We're not thinking about tomorrow. There's no punt lineup. I don't want to see Oswaldo Cabrera batting 7th. I want to see him on the bench unless someone is injured and he needs to be playing. And I want to see Juan Soto playing 162 games because he played 162 games last year. And the only people that really should be resting are Aaron Judge, because he's basically bigger than Flipper the Red Dog. And other than that, everybody else should be playing ball. And I don't want to see punt lineups. And that's really what infuriates me. Now, whether that's Brian Cashman saying it or Brian Cashman saying it with analytical people or one guy making a decision and us not even really knowing, or is it Aaron Boone? Eventually, you have to say, you're not giving this guy enough power to make these decisions if we're putting the blame on Cashman instead of Boone. You have to at least say, all right, this is my decision right here. I'm owning it. And if we don't make the playoffs this year, this is on me. I know that's not a realistic thing because Aaron Boone is probably going to be Yankees manager until 2030.
Right.
But it gets to me a little bit when I see just that lack of aggression from anywhere.
Yeah,
That's
but
really what.
Jimmy, hang with me here. So if Aaron Boone, and I feel like I agree with what Boone would say to this answer, like to this question. If I asked Aaron Boone, do you or do you not have the authority to override the analytics department that's hired by the New York Yankees? He'd probably tell me, yes, there's a huge conception that the analytics department is making decisions. They're building lineups. They're telling me what the rotation should be. They're telling me when guys should be pulled. They're telling me when I should use bullpen, all of the above, right? He'll tell me that he has that type of authority. Then why is it that we're firing them and not you? I like Aaron Boone. I
Yeah,
want him to have a job with the New York Yankees, but I want there to be some sense of accountability. If you're telling me that this analytics department is saying, okay, these guys, this one specific player is raking. He's the hot man in the lineup. Now, you're sitting him. Is it you sitting him or is it the analytics department sitting him? Because if it's you sitting him, I have to blame you. That's
right,
the thing I'm saying.
right,
So when
right.
you're telling me I can't blame you, well, then at the end of the year, when we're looking at a product that didn't get us to where we need to go, why would I look at them if they're not the ones steering the boat? You told me you were.
Exactly. And again, it's a roundabout thing, and everybody points the finger this way, and then nobody's the issue. All right, I think that was good Yankees talk. I did want to hit the Super Bowl,
Okay.
just for a minute at least. I have been a huge. I don't even know. Maybe I'm just playing devil's advocate, but this guy right here, Brock Purdy, I am kind of on Cam Newton's side with this whole Brock Purdy situation. I've been a 49ers fan as in I'm such a huge football fan that the Giants will always be my number one, but when we talk about realistic expectations, the Giants were never going to win a Super Bowl this year. So you start to have different favorite teams. 49ers were always going to be a team that I like this year, especially with the Philadelphia Eagles being their huge rival and, one of the teams that would stop them. But I think their roster is so good. And I think that Brock Purdy isn't being keyed on because, you're double teaming Kittle certain plays. Debo might be coming this way for 19 yards. You have Ayuk to worry about. Obviously, you have, in my opinion, the best running back in football and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. There are so many different things with so I've been hard on Brock Purdy the past week. And let's play fill in the blank. On a scale of 1 to 10, what are you grading Brock Purdy going into the Super Bowl?
A 5.
Really?
Yeah, Brock Purdy is a solid NFL quarterback, and when people call a player a game manager, I don't think that's an insult at all. And the reason I say that is because someone that I perceive to be a bad quarterback in the NFL, that player has no capability whatsoever to game manage a great team. And the reason I say that is because when you look at a team like the New York Jets, when they had Mark Sanchez, at no point did I think the '09 New York Jets had a bad quarterback. I didn't think that. I thought he was going to make all the necessary throws that could potentially win them a Super Bowl. He's not going to make the superstar play. And that's why when I look at this Super Bowl lineup, I'm looking at Brock Purdy. I'm like, this guy, you can't possibly think he's not even on the same field as Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah. And
I
and
mean, come
again,
on.
you can run down the names, whether it's again Christian McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams.
It's a great
Uh,
team.
it's a great team. So I've been hard on Purdy. Now, if Purdy goes out and he wins the Super Bowl, this is what I'm going to be giving him. I'm going to be clapping. We're going to give him the golf clap. Hey man, I have him more in the 7.4 range.
Okay.
But again, I've been playing devil's advocate all week on Yankees Pod. We've been doing some just talking about it. Kyle Shanahan is an excellent coach,
Yes,
right?
he is.
Um, but what did I read before? Postseason versus opponent. And, actually, 0-3 versus the Chiefs. He's never beaten the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a big question mark right there. And he's 8-3 in the postseason. So the games that he's lost to are the Chiefs, and the Eagles, and I believe and the Rams. Those are his only three losses. So I think there is a little bit of an X factor there. And again, Patrick Mahomes right now is unworldly, and that's why I'm thinking to myself, because I put a bet in the day after the Chiefs lost to the Lions. Chiefs to win the Super Bowl plus 800. So I had a little ticket right there.
Wow.
And then right now I'm in some other pool. It's like you get a random team. I had the Rams, they covered. I had the Lions, they covered. They won. They covered again. But now I have the 49ers. So as long as the 49ers don't win by 1 or 2, I'm a happy man. Of course, that could be that. That could be. I've been pretty unlucky lately. That could be the thing that really gets me. But I just don't understand why they're a 2.5 point underdog. It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and this is the thing. When I'm looking at these two teams, I see a much better football team in San Francisco than I do in Kansas City. Just a much better football team. And that's in terms of receiving core, running backs, defense, all of it. I think San Francisco is just a complete unit. And this is one thing I'll say about the results of this game. After the game's over, I'm not going to look at the San Francisco 49ers winning this game by 10 and then saying, okay, that's an incredibly validating win for Brock Purdy, because I've seen other players who weren't necessarily all-time greats go win Super Bowls. It's possible to go win one Super Bowl with those teams. I've seen the San Francisco 49ers, this exact same football team, get incredibly close to winning a Super Bowl, but they missed one or two throws down the stretch with a mediocre quarterback. We saw the LA Rams do it with Jared Goff. Jared Goff went out there, who's a very good quarterback, by the way, went out there and missed one throw, and they got rid of him for it. So they very easily could have won that Super Bowl, and I wouldn't have looked at Jared Goff and said, okay, now he's gone into the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks. I just think that he's a really good player. That's what I think that Brock Purdy is. He's a really good player. He's just on an offense where those players around him are not just really good players. Those are all-time greats.
Yeah, and again, it's like Brock Purdy's playing on pro in Madden because of the talent around him. You could just go pro, up the gut, use check, McCaffrey, Trent Williams to the side. I mean, but also I will say, he might be just the right man to corral these guys together, because there is a lot of super star talent on the team. Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, Greenlaw, Ward, all absolute beasts. I'm going to say this about the Kansas City Chiefs. The biggest thing that they did this offseason, they decided that the regular season didn't matter. They are in that kind of aura where Tom Brady was with those Patriot teams, where you lose a game in September, it does not matter. That's how good Patrick Mahomes is. And the guy that I am talking about, and I'm going to put in the first touchdown for this guy, Rashee Rice, has been huge for this team because they don't have to deal with guys that were on the New York Giants in Kadarius Toney and Richie James, and they can rely on Rashee, the running game. This is the best running game that the Chiefs have ever had under Patrick Mahomes, and this is the best defense. And something Mahomes does that Tom Brady did, he knows how to slow down time, and he knows how to fast forward time. He is a grand manipulator of time. We need to score right now. He goes out and does it. We need to eat 7 minutes. He goes out and does it. He is so masterful at his craft that I have him right now at 3 all time in quarterbacks. And with this win, I have him at 2. That's how insane of a quarterback he is. And as far as athleticism and God-gifted ability, the only man that you could even argue that is better gifted is Aaron Rodgers. That is the only person you could even argue. Maybe Marino. But to have that with the winning pedigree, and obviously I don't like Boston. We don't root for New England Patriots in Sleepy Hollow, New York. So of course, I'm rooting for history. I like the Niners as well. I'm just happy that the Philadelphia Eagles are not in the Super Bowl. It's nice. No Cowboys, no Eagles. What can I really complain about?
Yeah, and I'm an Eagles fan, right?
Wait 1 second. I did not know that. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, no, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm not taking it personally. Yeah, I completely get it. But look on the flip side of that. Shanahan, when you talked about his record, the 0-3 record against and trying to go beat Patrick Mahomes, and there's a story there. Well, at the same time, a lot of that's quarterback play. A lot of the reason that the Kansas City Chiefs can just say, well, the regular season doesn't really matter. We'll just turn it on in the postseason is because of number 15 in red.
Yeah,
That guy
absolutely.
is the ultimate, yeah, we're just better player. And I understand what Travis Kelce does, but the sooner people
He's
realize that
awesome.
he's
He's awesome.
amazing, he's
Yeah. Okay.
amazing. When you see Travis Kelce decide he's going to retire, whether that's this offseason, if he just wants to go, if he just wants to go mac on Taylor Swift for the rest of his life, that's fine. You will see that when he comes off the field, Patty Mahomes and Andy Reid are going to still find ways to move the football. They just will.
Yep.
So if that always is going to be there, all these other teams are going to struggle to beat number 15. If that's the case, then really this organization is just teed up where we're going to start judging Shanahan, we're going to start judging Brock Purdy because if the 49ers lose this game, people are going to be looking at Brock Purdy and saying, with all these players around you, you couldn't go win a Super Bowl.
I know.
That's what they're going
Oh,
to say.
it's a
And it's
no-win
not
situation
it's a
for the
no-win
guy.
situation.
It really
Absolutely.
is. It really is. All right. Why don't you give me your who's going to score a first touchdown? Who's going to be a first touchdown scorer of the game?
Uh First touchdown. Let's go. I'm gonna go Christian McCaffrey.
Okay, love
Yeah.
that. Obviously, I mean he's
Kansas
probably
City's
going to
gonna
score.
come from behind and win this game.
Okay, I love that. What's the final score prediction?
They're gonna move the puppies in this game. It's gonna be I'll go 35-32.
All
High
right,
scoring game.
I'm writing that down because obviously I have to put that in at least $10. 35-32. Gary Sheffield Jr. Thanks a lot. Gonna get you out with two questions. You love golfing.
I
We
do.
have something. I'm the CEO of the Sports Chill LLC. We have a huge golf audience over there at the Golf Chill. We got to
Awesome.
get you. We got to get you and Marco out golfing together because the content he makes, he's really is unbelievable. But yeah, no, I really appreciate you coming on. Yeah, and one other question. No, I know that you're an Eagles fan now. I don't even have to talk about it. But Jordan Renan did say yesterday on a podcast that Saquon Barkley is probably going to hit free agency. And I'm going to say to all you Giants fans out there, do not franchise tag this guy. You're only going to get a fourth or a fifth round pick. Let him go pick his team. Saquon Barkley is the only bright spot that we have seen on this team for the past 4 years. Let him go to the Bills and try to beat Patrick Mahomes, or let him go, play with the Chargers, whatever it be. Saquon Barkley, thank you so much for being a New York Giant. You lost to the Eagles a bunch. Gary's laughing at me right now. He's like, this poor Giants fan. What is he talking about? But yeah, you know what? Well, final question. We'll ask you an Eagles question. What was the biggest thing that went wrong? Why is the coach back? Or is it just, was it just that schedule, those 6 games that wiped you guys out? What was the biggest problem this year with the Eagles?
Part of it was schedule, but I'm not going to make the excuse of that. I'm just going to say the offensive and defensive coordinator this past year they were absolutely atrocious. They were bad. If you actually dissect the X's and O's, this football team just didn't try to do enough of what they were good at, and they just repeatedly just beat the dead horse of what they failed at. They were trying to essentially become an air raid offense with a Russell Wilson like quarterback. And that just doesn't work. You don't get to drop back 50 times with a scrambling guy who likes to run RPOs and make reads. That's just not how you win football games. You need to be running the football and relying on your defense and becoming a Peyton Manning air raid Denver Broncos offense. You're going to lose football games. And the fact that they did that, the one thing that Jalen Hurts fails at is securing the football. Well, when you put the ball in his hands 60 times a game, turnovers are going to become an issue, and it's exactly what happened.
Yeah. One final thought. Obviously, I think your dad deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. A shame. It honestly, when you calculate any single way, doesn't make sense. Any person who in the history of Major League Baseball that hits 500 home runs should automatically be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, let your dad know that we're all rooting for him. All real Yankee fans know. And, sometimes, these guys, these young writers don't know what it's a shame, and it's crap. It's crap. And I wanted to let you know that because, it really doesn't make sense. We have it at our house always, the 500 home run hitter thing with all the guys' names on it. And if you're on that list, you should be a Hall of Famer. So I needed to let that out. And I don't want to make it about this at all because I really want to know your opinion about the Yankees and stuff. But that needed to be said before I let you go. Any final thoughts or anything?
No, when it comes to my dad in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I think he would echo pretty much the same sentiment, is that we were hoping he was going to make it this year, but it's not the end of the world for us. The Sheffield family all were waiting and hoping that he was going to get that call, but you know what? His day is going to come, and it's going to be that much sweeter. So we're not worried about who didn't vote him in, why, why are they voting for this player, why this guy and not him. We're not going to play the game that people want us to play because it's an unwinnable battle for us. It's an argument that we can't win. And the only answer for us, and we really appreciate you saying what you said. And at the same time, we just want to be patient with it because we're going to be in Cooperstown, New York.
Right.
And my whole family's going to be there. We'll be sitting there front row. My dad told me he wanted me to give him the speech because he was, obviously he was like, you're going to give the speech. If they're not going to put me in the Hall of Fame, you'll talk for me. I told him I'm not doing it for you. You're going to go do it. So, yeah, he's going to enjoy it when his day comes. And all I'll say is this about it. People should never assume that players are going to be around in 5 or 10 years for their flowers. And I always feel like if you were ever going to give a player their flowers, it should be now. Same with Pete Rose. There's plenty other players in Major League Baseball who I feel the exact same way about because who in the world thought that a guy like Kobe Bryant wasn't going to get an opportunity to do his Hall of Fame speech? I always watched Kobe growing up. Obviously, my dad played for the Dodgers. We got a chance to go to a lot of those games in person. And at no point did I think that Kobe Bryant would be leaving this world without an opportunity to say thank you to the game of basketball. And I want my dad to have that same opportunity before something potentially could happen. And not everyone gets the opportunity to live till they're 80, 90 years old. So that's why I've always been so adamant about him making it. But now that he hasn't, we're just going to wait patiently.
Love it. No, very respectful. I don't know if I would do the same. I mean, maybe I would. I don't know. But like, again, no shots at anybody, but Gary Sheffield, much better baseball player than Harold Baines. And that's all I'm going to say on that. That just one example. Sorry, Harold Baines. Hope you don't listen. Hope you never listen. But yeah, let's just be honest. 500 home runs. It doesn't make sense. Gary, thank you so much for joining. We'll have you on again. But yeah, it's really, really appreciate you coming on and best of luck in everything you do.
Thank you, Jamie. Jimmy, good luck and shout out Harold Baines.
Harold Bates. Harold Bates. Peace, guys.